To Mohommed Ali Shah, now in a situation such as this, how do we ensure that what happened in Manipur is not replicated in Mizoram, keeping in mind that while we were talking about the ethnic clashes that were taking place, there was also a lot of concern with regards to the infiltration of Myanmaris into Manipur. There was also a lot of concern about this drug trade, narcotics trade and arms trades taking place, with the Chinese influence in Myanmar being the major, most important factor into the upheaval that is taking place on the border state of Manipur.
Right, Megha, that's a very good question. You know, I had the honor of serving with General Dwivedi. He led with distinction over there. In fact, in the entire Northeast Belt, he commanded a division over there. So I can tell you what he has said right now makes complete practical on-ground sense. He knows the area backward of his hand. Now, let me tell you regarding Mizoram again. Last few years, we've seen approximately 32,000 refugees have entered and they have taken refuge. Each time there's trouble in Myanmar, people try to cross over. There's a friendly pact with Myanmar of 16 kilometers that, a person can come across because they have family ties, they have relatives, they have similar ethnicities abroad, either side of the border. Myanmar and India, I would say Manipur, and I would say call it particularly Manipur. These are 16 kilometers packed that Myanmarese, Burmese nationals can come into India, 16 kilometers inside, and Myanmari and Indian can go across. Now they have tried to come into to Mizoram as well, and I would quote their DC, James Lalranchana. He said that so far there has been no casualty on the Indian side. Yes, there have been apparently, he said there could be a collateral damage on our side due to the events which have been across the border. Now he said we are ready to face that, and officials who have been instructed about it. Now they have been following about 1,000 approximately from what I got to hear was what I read in the news as well, that 1,000 Myanmar nationals were all set. They were nationals of different towns, villages, they were close to the border and have reportedly crossed the Indian side if reports were to be believed. Now at least two of them who had sustained bullet injuries, they were sent for treatment in Champai, which is on the east of Mizoram in fact. So we can't really say exactly how many of them are there in number, but yes, it is indeed a matter of great concern. And if I were to be, I can say very easily, it's a very simple solution. Seal the borders. Seal the borders. But as General Govind Dwivedi said, it is not that simple. If we think, solution if had it been that simple, we would have done it a long time back. On ground, even if we seal the borders, we need someone to man the border. Otherwise, like for example, why is Indo-China border not sealed as yet? Why is there no line of control? There is a line of actual control with India and China, right? Because it is practically impossible to put a line. I wish one could. Because good fences make good neighbors. Now the very fact is when we have an influx of immigrants from Myanmar, whenever they come, there's trouble there in the military junta in 2021 in February. And that time a lot of other groups were formed and they were fighting against the military junta. So whenever there's trouble in Myanmar, they try to cross across. It's not just India, any other border they would have wanting to come across for refuge and for shelter, for safety. And once the trouble is over, they get back. But is that the answer? No, I don't think so. I do not see.
But isn't there also a threat when there are these Myanmaris who are traveling into the Indian towns of Manipur and Mizoram? There is also a threat that because of the Chinese influence, there could be, like we have already seen, this drugs trade, this arms trade that is taking place is under direct influence of what the Chinese want to then make our borders, make our northeastern towns much more vulnerable to the military actions of Myanmaris, which is then being perpetrated by the Chinese.
Oh yes, Megha, the Chinese angle is something which cannot be ruled out completely. It's something to be looked into very, very seriously because China will always try to make trouble for India. They will always try to do things which would not be in India's favor. So most certainly this is something indeed very, very disturbing and it is a matter of, matter of national.
Okay. Major Mohammed Ali Shah, there have been a number of instances that have repeatedly occurred of a number of Chinese nationals who are caught and put behind bars under the charges of espionage, and they have been picked particularly from these northeastern states of Mizoram and Manipur. Now, is there better proof for the Indian government and the Indian forces to then ensure that the porous borders are sealed and they are manned? Because we don't want a situation like LOC or a line of actual control to take place in Northeast as well.
Right, Megha, again, a good question by you. See, it's actually, I really wish they could seal the borders the way it's line of control, it's India, Pakistan. It's clearly, very, very clearly demarcated. I really wish there was a way. But it's since like India-China border, that's a different, little far from there. It is the line of actual control. Here, there is no, the border is very, very porous. So, is there any way? Well, I wish the government could have, whichever the government of the day, this government, the previous governments which have been there, could have sat down on it and thought of it, how it's to be worked upon. No, it is indeed very, very porous, and that's a matter of grave concern. No, but they made biometrics now, or biometrics have just come in and they started the process that now recently, that's a different thing. I wish they had done much earlier, because frankly speaking, in a very unbiased view, I do not think so that it would be humanly possible to actually seal the borders completely. I wish it could happen that. Now, it is definitely, now whether there is one refugee or they are 100 or 1,000, that doesn't matter. The very fact that even if there's one, it is indeed a matter of national security. Now, I wish we could find out a way of actually sealing the borders completely, Megha.
Okay, all right.